What is going on, folks? It is race weekend, Ironman 70.3 Indian-Wells La Quinta. Race is always a mouthful to say. Never know best way to put it on social media, abbreviate it. It's just too long. But I am just about packed up, got all the gear ready. I am about to head to the pool, gonna knock out a swim this morning, probably just a couple thousand yards easy. Got my brand new kit that just came in from Varlo, the custom Orange County endurance kit. I'm super excited to be wearing that. I know, nothing new on race weekend, but put it on, it feels amazing. I'm gonna wear it regardless. Also made some modifications to the bike for this race, so I'm excited. Hopefully, I've got the fastest setup I've ever had on this canyon. A couple of the recommendations were from my co-host Tony, who's on the OC Endurance podcast. He works with Jim with Aerosport, and they do a ton of aero testing. So number one was to get rid of the bike cage bottle holders. These are some of the worst when it comes to aerodynamics. Any circles, any cylinders, right, create a lot of drag. So those are gone. I do have my hydration up here in the front, which is the Aria from Profile Design. It integrates right into the stem and comes up and over right on top. The other thing I've done is gone to a single bottle on the back. I used to have two bottles on the back. One is where I carried some of my tools to fix my tires because the Reynolds rims that used to be on here have gotten so many flats and they are extremely hard to change tires on, fix flats on, but I'll get to that in a second because I don't need those tools anymore. I had the dual bottles, but that creates more drag. Going to the single bottle of fuel here, single bottle of fuel here, and if needed, I will grab Gatorade and water on the course. And then the final change, the big change for me, is I am selling my Reynolds and I got a pair of Zip Firecrest 808s and I've gone tubeless. This will be my first tubeless experience. I've never ridden tubeless before, so I am excited, one, to have 808s again. My old bike had 808s, but they were not through axle, so I couldn't even have those switched over. Now all my tools, basically I've got two CO2s, the adapter for filling the tire, and just a patch kit or patch tool for the tubeless, and that is right in here. I got the Stan's Dart Patch Kit. That was recommended by Raul, who does a lot of the bike maintenance for a bunch of the OCE folks, and he's actually going to be switching out my cranks when I get back. We're gonna be doing some other changes to the bike post La Quinta, and I'll be using that for Morro Bay next year. But now I gotta jump on the road and get to the pool.
Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen him down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a mail, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers, fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a Don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Come down and I'll meet him at a gate.
Well, I am back from the swim. Nice and easy. Did a little bit of paddle work, did a few sprints here and there, and knocked out 2,000 yards. Now I'm back. Time to load the truck up, grab a little food, and hit the road. All right, well, I have arrived at Indian-Wells, heading over to registration, get my good rack placement, AWA, with the best benefit. I am all checked into Chateau Lake La Quinta. It looks amazing. This is a great little spot right on the water, this little lake here. Honestly, I'm pretty surprised. Sujen, who unfortunately isn't going to race. She is gonna come out and support all the OCE folks. We have 20 racers out here from our local Orange County Endurance group, but her knee started giving her a lot of problems last week, and she had to ultrasound, which was somewhat inconclusive, but extremely painful on her knee to run. So they need to do an MRI. So they recommended that she not run. She's gonna need to take about 4 weeks off at this point. So bummer, but she will be here. But we're staying here because her and her boyfriend are coming, and they have their dog, and they let dogs come here. But this place is beautiful. Check-in went amazing. I saw Robert, I saw Kevin, I saw Brent, I saw Deborah. Deborah is racing her first time as a pro triathlete this weekend. And I saw Sabrina, who is the race director. She is amazing, the race director for La Quinta. She's also the race director for Oceanside. And I'm all loaded in. I got the bike, got the gear. I've decided I'm gonna stay in for the night, just eat at the restaurant. I'm going to start prepping all of my stuff because tomorrow, doing the early morning ride and then meeting up with a bunch of OCE folks. It's the Varlo team, Synergy team. So it's gonna be a busy day between dropping all the gear off at the lake. Gotta take the bike and the wetsuit, everything down to the lake. Then back to the tennis arena to drop off the run gear. So I'm gonna pack the bags up. At this 70.3, we do have race bags. So some of them you don't, you just transition like a normal triathlon, putting all your gear by your bike. But here we do have bags for your T1 and T2. So I'm gonna get all that stuff packed up, get the stickers on the bike. So all of that is done and I can just relax. Good morning. It is Saturday morning. It is currently 6:09 in the morning. I've been up for about an hour and a half, had 2 cups of coffee, just been kind of relaxing, rechecking my race stuff, kind of packing things up. I want to make sure I have everything that I can in the car tonight because tomorrow morning when I leave for the race, I will be checking out. This morning, I'm gonna knock out a 15-minute, 20-minute run, nice and easy, then meeting up with a couple folks to do a ride, probably 30, 40 minutes after that. 10 to 2 is my equipment drop off. They're open till 5, so I'll probably go around 11. I believe Sujen is gonna go with me down to the lake to drop my bike off and my wetsuit and all of that. At this race particular, you have to take your wetsuit and dunk it in a pool with chlorine in it. They set up a little kind of a kiddie pool. Dunk your wetsuit in there. They wanna make sure anything that could be on it is not transferred into the lake. And the earlier I do that, the more time it has to dry before tomorrow morning. Drop the bike off, then head back to the tennis garden, meet up with a bunch of folks, drop off the run gear, and then that's really it for the day. We've got a small group going to have some dinner and just relaxing. The temperatures are in the low 40s right now in the morning. It looks like it's probably 41, 42 right now, so it's a little bit chilly. Luckily, the water seems to be measuring a little bit warmer than it has in the past years, so 58 and above is pretty warm. One of the things about being out here in the desert is if it's not windy, which it is not today or yesterday. Hopefully it won't be tomorrow. When the sun starts to come up and you get on the bike, it gets warm pretty quick. I have never been cold on the bike out here. I think between working hard and it being fairly dry out here and the sun, you know, there's not a lot of coverage, so you're not in the shade much when you're out here on the bike. You warm up pretty quick. And by midday, it looks like the temperature is going to be about 71, which is perfect for the run. right, well, that felt pretty good. 22 minutes, 2.65 miles. Legs are feeling pretty fresh, pretty snappy. Let's hope that carries over till tomorrow. I'm headed over to the tennis stadium to meet up with Edward. Robert decided he was gonna sleep in and not meet us. Thanks, Robert.
They been sleeping on me, think it's time to wake 'em up. They been sleeping on me, think it's time to wake 'em up. You've been playing it safe, now it's time to shake it up. Playing it safe, now it's time to shake it up. So it's time to make a change. Yeah, it's time to break the chains. Yeah, it's time to bring the pain. Let them know till
Sujin, Justin, and Finn have arrived. Go for a swim. Might be a little deeper than my pool.
But it's not really a big deal. When you're in the water.
Well, Sujin and Justin arrived. Justin is going to go out and take the dog on a little bit of a hike. Sujin is going to hop in with me. We're going to go down to the lake and drop off my bike, dip my wetsuit, all of that. Then we're going to head over to the tennis stadium, drop off my run gear, meet up with some of the OCE, maybe the Synergy group, some of the Varlo team, all of them. That's it for obligations for the day before we go to dinner. Did you ride here?
Oh no. No. So it's different this year.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Where it's like you drop off your bike. Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
What's your name?
I'm Cindy.
Cindy. Hi,
Nice to meet you.
Hi, man.
good luck.
Yes.
I will
Have a great race.
Here too. Everyone's cheering for you. I know.
Heck yeah.
Thank you.
Sam. Take down Sam.
Take down Sam, yes.
Oh yeah, Sam.
Is Lisa here?
Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
What's up? Ready?
He's good.
Ready as I'm gonna be.
I literally just asked 2 seconds ago.
Yes, it does, sir.
Nice.
All right, 1 minute. We got some people ready. Let's wait for them as well. 1, 2, 3, smudge. All in. Nothing afloat. So where are you guys from? Moreland. And take it to the taxi station on my right. Do not take up the taxi. You do need that for tomorrow.
Look at the sun.
Bike is dropped. T1 gear is dropped. Wetsuit is hung up, dunked, tagged, and hung up. Now, take the run gear to the stadium. All right, you're gonna be in my video this week. How you doing? Yeah. Well, welcome to the end of the race recap. Unfortunately, I'm not a pro triathlete and I don't have somebody to follow me around on the race course, so I don't really have much race footage, but I figured I'd go through a short recap. I recorded a longer, I think 90-minute podcast this morning on the OC Endurance podcast with Tony and Austin, where I go into a lot more detail about the race weekend. As you can see from the beginning of the video, regardless of how the race went itself, I had a great time over the weekend leading into the race, everyone being there, seeing so many familiar faces. Those of you who came up and said hello and introduced yourself to me, I love it. That is one of the best feelings when I actually get to meet those of you who are watching the videos that are finding inspiration and motivation. I hear your stories. So if you ever see me at a race, please come up, say hello. It is so fun to get to hear your stories because your stories are really what continue to motivate me. My content may inspire or motivate you, but getting to meet you and hear about what you're doing, what you're training for, and your experiences really continues to fuel my desire to want to create this type of content. So let's hop straight into race morning. Woke up and I felt really, really good. I felt like I wasn't nervous at all. And maybe it's just the longer that I've been doing this, the less nervous I am. But when I first got back into doing triathlons after such a huge break, a 10-year break, I was really nervous each morning. This race, I woke up, I didn't feel nervous. I ate breakfast, felt really good. Got on the bus really early, took the 4 o'clock slot, just got there early, got my stuff set up, and was just running into people, talking to people. The race morning was not that cold, felt actually a little bit warm in the gear I was wearing, and the water was warmer. It was gonna be 58 degrees, so I knew it was gonna be warmer. I didn't get in the acclimation area. I don't like to get in there and then get out and then stand around in my wetsuit. I know it's gonna be cold, but I also have been doing it enough, swam in enough cold water that I feel like I'm beyond the hyperventilating kind of panic that I have done there in the past. So started the swim and decided I wasn't gonna go super hard in that first few hundred yards because it's cold, it's gonna hit the water, I know what it's gonna feel like, it's gonna kind of shock the system, and that lasted a few minutes, but it wasn't near as bad as it has been in the past. In the past, that water's so cold, you hit it and you just, you like breathe in and that panic sets in. The wetsuit feels really tight, feels like you can't breathe. That was definitely not the case this time. Overall, the swim went pretty good. I never really felt like I could get into a rhythm. When you get that many people in that body of water, it feels like that's a really big lake, but it's not actually that big. The swim takes up almost the whole lake. So when you get a lot of people in that water, you feel the water moving, and I felt like I was shifting back and forth, kind of rocking. Never really felt like I got into a good rhythm. I also wore booties for this swim. I have never done that in the past, but decided to go ahead and do it this time just because I wanted to come out and not have my toes feel numb. I wanted to be able to run from the beach up to the transition without getting a ton of grass on my feet so I could get my socks on really easy. And overall, I don't like the feeling of having the booties on my feet. I do feel like they slow you down a little bit. You can feel the drag, they put a little pressure on your toes, but I would probably continue to wear them if I do this race in the future. They worked just fine. I came out of the water at 34 minutes and 21 seconds, which I was really hoping to have a PR swim here. The fastest I've ever swam here was 34 flat, and that was last year. And I wasn't able to beat that this year, but I was within the range, 34:21, not too bad. Wasn't really that disappointed about it. Was able to get out of the water, run hard, grab my bag. You get your bags here in transition. Got into transition, dumped my stuff out, got my wetsuit off really easy, got the aero helmet on, the shoes on, and got out of transition with a couple people I knew on the bike. Tim was on the bike with me. We headed out. You have a little bit of an uphill to get out of the lake, and then you are on a little road until you get out of the lake area and into the main city streets. And the beginning first half of this bike is so fast. I was riding between 23 and 27 miles per hour with not a ton of effort. My target power was right around 210 to 220, and I was having really no issues holding really high speeds at that wattage. Overall, the ride went really smooth, got plenty of liquids in, and made it to the turnaround. And this is pretty much an out and back type bike course. You're not really coming back to the lake, but you go out to a certain point, make a U-turn. There's a couple U-turns on here before heading back to the tennis garden. And at that turnaround, I could feel that there was some headwind. And when I actually look at the map, you are headed somewhat down in elevation on the first half. And then there is some climbing. I would say this is an extremely flat course. So there's not climbing, but you are gaining elevation as you head back to the tennis garden. And I did feel like we were fighting a little bit of a headwind because I was pushing higher wattage, 220 to 230, in order to try and maintain 22 miles, 23 miles per hour at this point. My goal of the bike was to finally break 23 miles per hour as my average speed. Now, I felt really confident that that was going to occur. I felt like I was probably right there. I didn't have that on my bike computer, but I felt like it was gonna happen. I didn't want it on my bike computer just in case it wasn't going well. Felt like I was probably right on the verge. In the last couple of miles coming back into the bike, you're going into the city, it gets really narrow. They actually put you on the left-hand side of the road, so that would be going into oncoming traffic, and you have one lane there, and it's fairly narrow. And as I was riding in on those last couple of miles, this huge chain of guys come by, all drafting. They were all tucked into each other. There were at least 10 of them, and they are going by me on my left side. And right as the last one comes up by me, a moto with a referee is right there. And as soon as they get over to the right in front of me, they pop on up there and they start handing out penalties. Each one of them are sitting up, they're kind of arguing about it, and everybody's speed starts to slow down. So now I'm doing 17, 18 miles per hour. And because it's so narrow, you've got a chain of like 10 guys, you've got the moto there. I didn't want to take a chance of trying to pass. There wasn't really any way for me to go around. I also would have had to have put a pretty big surge in to try and get past that entire group. So I just kind of sat there and waited for them to get through giving the different penalties out and the complaints and all of that. And then once that finally broke up, I was able to put a surge in and slowly pass a lot of that group, which was great, but I felt quite a bit of time there. So came in to transition, nice and smooth, hopped off, changed to my run stuff, and ultimately I would not find out until after the race was done, but I averaged 22.99 miles per hour, 0.01 off. Tony did the math during the podcast. He said I was 17 seconds away from hitting 23 miles per hour. So it's hard to say, did I lose 17 seconds in there? I felt like I lost quite a bit of time during that segment of waiting for the penalties to be given out, but that is okay. I did not hit that goal, but I know that I will break 23 miles per hour. I will take that goal and I will push that out to Ironman 70.3 Morro Bay, which I will be doing next May. And I have a new goal for that race as well beyond the 23 miles per hour. But got into transition, changed my gear quickly, got onto the run, and just felt like I had a ton of energy. My legs felt super fresh, and headed out. Jacob, who is a friend from the OCE, he had passed me right before we got into transition. So I was kind of fired up. I wanted to get onto the run and find him before he got too far ahead of me, and found him. When you leave transition, you run around kind of the outside of the tennis stadium before you get out. It's about a mile and a half or so before you get onto the golf course. So it's flat, it is fast, there's a little downhill section, and that is where everyone is at. That is where everyone is cheering. So it's super, super motivating. And I could see Jacob right when I got out of transition. I saw another friend, Scott, at the same time, and I was pumped. So I wanted to put in a really strong surge right there at the beginning, just to, make a statement. I felt strong, so went past each one of them, spoke to them for a second, but then really ran hard. I was running 6:30s for that first mile and a half or so until I got to the golf course. And when you get there, you kind of go up a curb, up some dirt, and then you are on the golf course cart path. And it's very technical. It's very rolling. It's not steep hills, but it's just kind of constant rolling. The ground is like concrete. There's not a lot of response from it. I feel like it's kind of dead. It's not like running on pavement. And it just winds and it winds and it winds. You're doing switchbacks all over this golf course. It feels like it's never ending. But I felt great. I continued to run strong. I was monitoring my pace, trying to stay under 7:30s as much as I could. I came off of the golf course, and then you have a mile and a half or so back until you make that loop near the finish, and you got to go back out and do it again. I ran that first half, 6.5 miles of the half marathon at 7:07 pace and was feeling really, really good. Felt great all the way back out of the tennis garden and then onto the golf course. Once I got on the golf course, I kind of felt like maybe I was outrunning my current fitness level. I could feel that I was struggling to maintain the same pace. I was working really hard to stay under 8-minute miles. And when I looked at it after the race was done, I found that there was really only 1 mile that I went over 8-minute mile pace. I ran an 8:19 for that mile. And I believe it's the part of the golf course where you go onto the sand and then onto the grass, and you're trying to make your way back off the golf course. And that's where I believe I ran probably my slowest mile. But once I got off and then I had that mile and a half back, everybody's cheering. I could see there were a couple of folks in kits that I knew from local tri clubs, Area 3 Endurance, the Wolf Pack, folks like that. I could see some kits that I recognized, and I just felt like I was hunting people down the whole run. And that just gives you so much motivation. As I was coming back into the tennis garden area, my buddy Kyle says to me, the tracker has you at 4:46 predicted finish. And at that point, I knew when I made the first loop that I had my sub 5-hour goal. I had achieved that, no problem. Going into the second loop, in my mind though, it was like, wow, maybe I could get to 440 or really close. But once I was on the golf course, I quickly realized 440 was out of question, but 445 was possibly in my reach. So when I got off of the golf course and Kyle said the tracker has you predicted at 446, I laid it down and tried to run as hard as I could for that last mile and a half. Passed quite a bit of people, came in, and when I went across the finish line and looked back, I was at 4 hours, 45 minutes, and 57 seconds. So I was 3 seconds within 445, which I was super happy about. I'm still pumped about it. Can't believe that after a month ago, having what I felt was a really bad run, struggling since March to try and come back and run sub 8s. It's been a heck of a journey. It's been frustrating, but the last few weeks, all of a sudden, things just started clicking. I felt like my volume was up. I felt like I was running quick. I had some confidence coming in here. I have gone to this race, I think this is my 5th time now, and every single time this run has gotten me. I have not been able to break 5 hours at La Quinta ever. So breaking that 5 hours and then having such a great race and feeling so good on the run was amazing. All in all, I am super happy that I made my goal, sub 5. I am super happy I went 445, and now I've got a new goal. So Morro Bay next year, got my sights set. I've looked at all of my times, my swim time, my run time, my transition. My new goal is I will go sub 440. But before that, I've got other things coming up. I've got the Surf City Half Marathon that I will be running in February, and my goal for that is to go sub 130. I will run a sub 7-minute mile in that half marathon. If I expect to run a sub 7-minute mile in a 70.3, I need to be able to run a sub 7-minute mile in just a half marathon. And then I have the LA Marathon, which I signed up for. So I've got 2 events before I go into Morro Bay, and LA will be the first marathon I have ever done. The only marathons I've done are in the 4 Ironmans that I did previously back in 2010, 11, 12, back then. I have never run a real official marathon, so I'm looking forward to doing that. I don't really know what my goal will be for LA. It's just going in. There are a bunch of locals that are doing it, so I'm looking forward to doing that and having that as being my first experience. It is a challenging course, so there are hills in it. It's not the fastest of courses. And I am now registered for the Santa Rosa Marathon, which happens in September, which I will make my BQ attempt. I will attempt to run 3:10 at Santa Rosa next September, which would qualify me to run the Boston Marathon in 2025. So that is it. I just want to say thank you to all of you who have left comments, all of you that have subscribed, all of you that give me thumbs up on a regular basis. I appreciate it so much. You might feel like you leave the same comment every time, but guess what? It lets me know you're there. I see your username, I know you're watching, and it really fuels me. When I am out there and I am racing, I am thinking about you guys a lot of the time, right? I don't want to disappoint. I have put a lot of effort in. You guys have put a lot of support behind me. The folks that support me, Synergy, Vitargo, Barlow, Lever, all of these folks that help support what I do, I don't want to disappoint. I want to be proud of the race that I had, and I want to make everyone that has supported me proud. So thank you all for supporting me. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to those who came up and said hello. And that's it. I'm pretty much just recovering this week. I will start to kick up my running next week, and I've got a few things coming up. This Saturday, we have the Orange County Endurance Christmas party. So if you are in Orange County and you want to come to Hangar 24 in Irvine this Saturday, I'll put the details in the description, but we're giving away a Synergy thermal wetsuit to someone who shows up. We'll be hanging out there. I believe it's noon to 4 o'clock. So I'll put the details in if you're in Orange County. Come by, meet the Orange County Endurance crew, possibly win a wetsuit. We've got some other swag from Rudy Project and folks like that. And then next Thursday night, I am hopping on a plane with the family and we are headed to Vermont for 3 weeks through January 4th, I believe, which I will be trying to get a ton of my half marathon training done there on a treadmill and quite a bit of skiing in. So that is it for this episode. Thank you all again. I greatly appreciate it. I had such a blast making these videos. I'll see you in the next one.